Jade got dropped into an arranged marriage, and now her arranged husband is trying to unalive her and make it look like an accident. Welcome to my dystopian novel, Jaded. The Jaded duology is about a girl named Jade whose father started a rebellion when she was a child and got discovered, and because they couldn't kill him, what they're doing is waiting until she comes of age, forcing her to marry the commander's son, and they're going to make the entire country believe that they love her and accept her into the family, and this is like the peace offering moment. But what they're really doing is they're staging it to look like an accident to murder her to get back at her father. So now Jade has to convince her arranged husband to fall in love with her. So we've got a lot of fun tropes inside of this one, but it really comes down to her not being certain if he really is going to hurt her or not, and she has to live with this man. They are married at the start of the story, and they get dropped into this house together, and they have to live life without understanding if the other is truly going to hurt them or not. And so while she is fearing for her life, he also has to a little bit fear for his life because he knows she kind of knows what's going on, and she too could be looking to take him out in some way, shape, or form. So we've got some really fun tropes here. Arranged marriages, people who are forced together and then eventually fall in love. It's enemies to lovers. But we also have this element of, but is he going to murder me? He's being nice. He's putting on a good front, but is he going to murder me? And so earlier on in the story, this is not a spoiler, it's pretty close to the beginning of the story, she does discover that yes, that is the plan. And now she has to go through this without him knowing that she knows. And so she gets to do a lot of psychological warfare. She gets to kind of mess with him and his family without actually hurting them, and then try to convince him not to murder her. She's not going to be able to convince him to fall in love right away, but she has to convince him she's a good person. This is not what should be happening. He should not be listening to his father. We get some really good scenes in there with them kind of working together, but then realizing, oh, we can't work together. And there's so much goodness inside of this story. This is actually the number 87th best-selling book out of every book on Amazon. I've had the number 7, 87, 74, and 87. A lot of sevens in there. This one is the 87th out of every book in existence on Amazon. And it's just this beautiful YA dystopian. So it's set in a futuristic society where the country has just kind of collapsed in on itself and a new little country has formed. And then the commander is passing on leadership. It's technically kind of like a kingship, but he's the commander. It's like a president type thing, but it's passed on generationally. And we see all of these wild ideas that they have and how they can secure and maintain that power, who they're trying to take out. And inside of the story, we've got this country that is kind of divided. Most people don't realize what's happening, but there is a subsect that understands she is in grave danger and there's nothing they can do to fix it. And so we get to go through this story where we're seeing people trying to help her, but not being able to help her trying to sacrifice herself to save everybody else, but also trying to save herself in the process. And it's just very good back and forth. If you like enemies to lovers, if you like arranged marriages, if you like potential husbands killing wives and psychological warfare, you will love this story. And I really, really liked it because we start with the seed of not knowing, but then we get to transition into, well, she knows, but they don't know that she knows what's going on. And we get to see a lot of psychological warfare in that. I know I keep leaning into that, but that was one of my favorite parts of writing this, that she gets to do these things to frighten them and to scare them and to make them concerned without crossing the line so that they never know, is she doing that on purpose? Like, does she get it? Like, what is happening? And that just adds to their fear, which then fuels what they're doing. And it's such a good story. So Jade is married. She gets married right off the bat to somebody she does not know. She has to go through the motions of figuring this person out just as a person she has to live in a house with, and then as a potential husband, and then also as her potential murderer. And she has to learn about him and then use that against him and then figure out how to leverage that against his family and how to turn him on his family. And it's this beautiful enemies to lovers story that I get in trouble for a lot because I'm really, really mean and I rip a lot of hearts out, and there's a lot of throwing this book across the room and like angry people who also really, really love it. So drop your questions on the Jaded duology. I love talking about the story. I love answering questions. I love the behind the scenes. I've done so many videos and book readings, and there's so much information on my website over the years because this one is a few years old now. This is actually my second book that came out just a few weeks after my debut novel, actually. And it's gone through so many really cool things out in the public eye. So drop your questions on this down below if you want to talk about how to write enemies to lovers or how to write that is he going to kill me genre. Ask your questions down below, but let's also talk about the Jaded Duology. And if you're interested in reading it, it's free. The first book in the duology, 2-book series, is free in ebook form. You can just grab it and read it right now. And if you're smart enough and you go way back, if you actually look in the book, there's information in there. There is a game that I created that you can play through and actually run missions for one of the guys inside of the story and then see how your actions in the game play out in the book. You are part of this book and you didn't even know it. So there's a lot that goes on with this one. Drop your question. We'll see you in tomorrow's episode.